I hope we watch a video, 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 a video, 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 a video, 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 a video, 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 a video, 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 a video, video, video. Wait, with some popcorn, 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 popcorn. And with some soda, 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 soda,